Are we on? So we take it from that the hearse has just arrived at the crematorium. The standard bearers, 6 standard bearers, are in line to retrieve the coffin from the car. The guard commander will give his command to retrieve the coffin from the car and to be put on the standard bearer's shoulders. The car will then move off, and then we'll be ready to go into the crematorium. The order will be led by the piper, the standard bearer, then the coffin bearers, the guard commander, the celebrant, and the immediate family and friends. When the guard commander gives his word command, slow march, the piper will start playing Going Home. When they come in the crematorium, the piper will come towards to the altar and then turn left, and you'll go out the same way you just come in. Followed by the standard bearer, who will take his position on the left hand side of the crematorium, and myself will take my position on the left hand side behind the lectern. Remainder of the family and guests will take their seats. Whilst they're doing that, the guard commander and the coffin bearers will lay the coffin on the catafalque under control of the guard commander. Once that is complete, the guard commander will give his word command for the men to do an inwards turn and then return to the seats. That's the start. This is now the start of the celebration of life for Joe Jenkins. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as we welcome you to Birmingham Crematorium. A special greetings to those who are watching via webcam. We gather here today to honour and celebrate the life of Joe Jenkins, who passed away peacefully at home on the 15th of October 2024 after a 2-year illness. He was fortunate to fulfill his wishes of being at home during his final moments. Joe was dearly loved and will be greatly missed by his wife Mary, his children, his grandchildren, and dear friends and colleagues. My name is James Ross, and I'm honoured to be your celebrant for today's celebration of Joe's life, and myself also part of the armed forces. I was in the Guards Division and I was in the Irish Guards Regiment. Today is a day filled with memories. While it will be remembered for many reasons, I hope it stands out to all of you as a special occasion at times to come together and pay your last respects to man whom we were all privileged to know. Joe leaves behind his beloved wife Mary, his 3 children, Thomas, Wayne and Michelle, and his 2 grandchildren, Iona, who is 10, and Jack, who is 3. Joe was born in 1948 as the country was recovering from World War II, and Joe was his only child. He attended Stockton Wood Primary School before moving on to All Hallows Senior School at the age of 11. His father was a bricklayer, and Joe often helped him on weekends, learning to mix cement and to carry bricks to various locations at each site. By the age of 14, Joe had already become a skilled bricklayer, even in the praise from his father, who claimed Joe was better than he was. One weekend, while building a wall for the British Heart Foundation, Joe suggested to his father that they include a heart design in the centre of the wall. His creativity shone through, and the unique wall left the charity overwhelmed with gratitude. Soon after, people began to inquire about the distinctive wall he had built. The next project involved constructing 3 walls for a large house. The owner, Mr. Jones, invited Joe and his father in for tea, and Joe was taken back by the many pictures of Mr. Jones in his naval uniform. Inspired, Joe proposed adding an anchor to the centre wall, commemorating Mr. Jones' 33 years of service in the Royal Navy. Mr. Jones agreed, and this addition delighted many military personnel who visited Mr. Jones's home. Mr. Jones encouraged Joe to join the Navy Cadets, and after 2 years, Joe expressed his desire to enlist in the Royal Navy to see the world. Despite his father's reservations, rooted in his own experience in the armed forces during World War II, Joe was resolute in his decision. After 4 years of service, he met the love of his life, Mary, and decided to leave the Navy after 6 years to build a life with her in Birmingham. They married shortly thereafter, and as a skilled bricklayer trained by the best, Joe had no trouble finding work, and he and his father started their own business called Jenkins Builders. Joe had a passion for music, particularly the Beatles and the Eagles, which he would play daily, especially during his travels across the UK in his motorhome. One of his favourite pastimes was fishing, and he loved to explore beautiful fishing spots, always releasing them back into the water after catching them. He cherished taking his grandchildren, Iona and Jack, to the local park, where he transformed the springs, the monkey bars and his seesaw into an obstacle course. He would encourage the kids to race through each challenge as he did in the Navy. On many occasions, the kids would tumble and scrape their knees or elbows, but Joe, armed with his box of plasters, would dutifully apply them wherever they felt pain, sending them home proudly displaying their battle scars. As a member of the Royal Navy Association, Joe enjoyed meeting friends at the local pub for a pint of Guinness. Later, we will hear more about the time he served in the Royal Navy, where he trained at HMS Raleigh in Cornwall and completed several tours, including one in South Africa. In the past 2 years, Joe fought bravely against his illness, striving to ensure it didn't intrude on his family life. He was a true fighter, but he eventually recognised that he could no longer continue the battle. Joe thoroughly planned to his own funeral alongside his family and close friends, especially his wishes to Mary and his children. When you receive my ashes, please scatter them in our garden amongst my beautiful flowers. This is where I shared my happiest moments with my family. I would like now to call up Captain George Mason from the Birmingham Central of Northern Navy Association to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Joe joined the Royal Navy in 1966, right after England clinched the World Cup. Talk about perfect timing. He spent his first 10 weeks at HMS Raleigh in Cornwall, where the instructors focused on mental and physical discipline. It's no surprise that Joe quickly emerged as a top student. On his intake, physically fit and always eager to lend a hand. If there's work to be done, you could bet Joe was the first to raise his hand, probably even before someone asked him to. With his creativity and knack of working with his hands, Joe could have tackled on just about any job the Navy had offered him. He joined his ship in Portsmouth, HMS Lowestoft. If memory serves, just a few months in it, he demonstrated such leadership skills that he was promoted to leading seaman. Then he was transferred to HMS Eagle, which might explain his love for the band the Eagles. After all, who would want to be associated with a rock band? HMS Eagle made its way to South Africa, stopped off at Cape Town Harbour. Being an aircraft carrier, it was a celebrity of the sea. You can imagine the locals were flocking to catch a glimpse of the ship. Magnificent ship. Joe retrained as an electrician and even helped on local tugboats. When they reached Durban, the hospitality was overwhelming. Joe, with a few members of the crew, were invited to local homes for dinner. Talk about warm welcomes? Well, now during their travels they did encounter a small hiccup in the Persian Gulf due to the Iranian political tension. But hey, what's a Navy career without a bit of adventure? When Joe left the Navy as a petty officer, Class 2, he joined our association in 1975. In 1980, he stepped up to become Secretary of the branch. In his 8 years in this role, he did a tremendous job. His focus on recruitment and encouraging the welfare of the serving veterans. Each year, he made sure every member received a Christmas card. And if any family found themselves in tough times, he ensured that they received hampers and gifts for their children. He organised the annual dinner, growing our branch from 120 members to a whopping 350 veterans. That's quite an accomplishment. Joe worked closely with the British Legion and the SSAFA, the Soldiers and Sailors and Airmen's Family Association. Ensure every sailor received a better board. After 8 years as secretary, he handed over the reins to another sailor. And let's be honest, taking over from Joe was like stepping into the shoes of Alex Ferguson. Those were big boots to fill. His dedication earned him the Admiral's Award from Prince Philip, a well-deserved honour indeed. Joe and Mary never missed an annual dinner, and sincerely hope Mary and family continue to join us for years to come. So as we say goodbye, it leaves me just a few words. Fair wind and following seas. Sir, thank you for your service and God bless you and your family and friends.
I've got to say, what a beautiful award to get from Prince Philip. Well, no, that would have been. I would like to call up Joe's eldest son, called Thomas, who will now read a poem called Silent Strong Dad by Karen Boyne.
He never looks for praises, he's never one to boast. He just goes on quietly working for those he loves the most. His dreams are seldom spoken, his wants are very few, and most of the time his worries will go unspoken too. He's there, a firm foundation through all our storms of life, a sturdy hand to hold on to in times of stress and strife, a true friend we can turn to when times are good or bad, one of the greatest blessings, the man that we call Dad.
Thank you, Thomas. What a beautiful poem that exemplifies Joe. The next part of the service is the moment of reflection. We all hold our own memories of Joe, some shared and others unique to each of us. Let us take a few moments to listen to our next musical tribute, which is called Yesterday by the Beatles, one of Joe's favourites. I invite you to use this time to speak to Joe quietly in your hearts. For those of you who are believers, there's also an opportunity to reflect on the significance of Joe's life and to cherish the happy moments you shared together. I will now musically cue music for the Beatles. I would now like to call upon Captain George Mason, who will do a presentation. So Captain George Mason will come up to the altar, take the medals from the coffin. He will then turn to Mary and say the following. He would ask Mary to stand and say, "These medals were always worn by Joe at military offence, and it was an honour to know him. You are now the custodian of these medals, which you or a family member can wear on the right side of your chest during any military offence, such as Remembrance Sunday. This will allow you to share Joe's stories and keep his memories alive." Captain George Mason then will present the medals to Mary. So, dear family and friends, as we reflect on the celebration of Joe's life with love and pride, the time has come for us to hold our memories close to our hearts and bid him a final farewell. If you are able, please stand. The next part is the committal. Joe, we honour your life, accept your departure, and cherish your memory. While we experience grief today as we say goodbye, we also feel immense gratitude for the life you lived. We are truly thankful for the privilege of having shared our lives with you. Now, may you find rest at the end of your days. Rest in the hearts and the minds of all you loved. With love, we'll leave you in peace, and with respect, we bid you a fond farewell, as commit your body to be cremated. The curtain now closes. The standard bearer will lower his flag, and we cue the music for the last post. Once the last post is complete, we'll have 1 minute silence to remember Joe and all the fallen. After 1 minute silence, we'll play Reveille. When the Reveille starts playing, the standard bearer will hoist his standard back into his holster. I will then ask the guard commander to come forward. The guard commander will come in front of the coffin and say the following. "They shall grow not old, as we that are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them." Petty Officer Joe Jenkins, stand down. Your duty has been done. The guard commander then returns to his seat. The final words. When someone who played a significant role in our lives passes away, it can bring about a profound sense of grief, and we each experience that grief in our own way. Please remember to take care of yourselves and spend time sharing stories about Joe. Talking and reminiscing will help to keep him close to your hearts. Mary would like to express a heartfelt gratitude for your presence today and for the kind words and support you have offered. We will soon say goodbye to those who joined us via webcam. For those who wish to make a donation, the family has selected the Cancer Trust charity, which has supported Joe over the past 2 years. The family warmly invites you to join them for light refreshments at the Royal Navy Service Club in Birmingham Central after our service in the honour of Joe. This will be a wonderful opportunity to share your stories about our dear friend Joe, and perhaps you might like to raise a glass in his memory. The next song which Joe and Mary would sing along to when they were on their travels in their motorhome is called You Are Not Alone by the Eagles. At this stage, I'll cue the music. And 1 minute into the song, I will nod to the standard bearer and he will march out of the crematorium, and shortly after I will follow, and then the funeral director will come into the crematorium, raise his hand out to Mary and escort Mary and the family and guests out of the crematorium.
Well done, mate. Always right this time.
Done?